Is mastering needed in 2025? I hear this come up all the time on forums, on Gearspace, on all these different like Reddit groups and stuff. And I also hear it from like students and people that I hang out with. And my short answer is yes, but I'll explain why. Like many other types of roles, I think that there's a very kind of gray area that's slowly becoming the standard in like the year 2025 or like in the last 10 years, where if you look back when I started, there was a very specific way of doing things. So the recording engineer would usually just be a recording engineer. Mixing engineer usually just mixes, and then mastering engineer usually just masters. Same goes with like the production and writing and everything else. So like every person has had his lane, and there was not a lot of mix match. So I remember when I was recording in a big studio facility, I was told, don't EQ anything because you never know who's gonna mix it, and then he might want it a different way, which now I completely disagree with. But what I'm trying to say is the old way of doing things is like categorizing and really staying in each one's lane. Nowadays, because of technology, because of really awesome plugins, because of a lot of things, there's more like kind of mix and match depending on the style of person and production that you're in. So a lot of producers will mix a lot of things while they're producing, and then they might give it out to a mixing engineer later, they might not, but regardless to whatever happens after the fact, they have used many different kind of mixing methods in their production. Same goes with tracking and mixing, same goes with mixing and mastering, because nowadays when I'm mixing, and this is also a little controversial, but I'll put a whole lot of stuff on my master before I even start the mixing process, because I want to kind of feed all the tracks into my master processing before I start noodling in different separate tracks. So that's kind of mastering in the mix process. And when I'm done, usually the master is like -9 LUFS or -10 depending on the genre. It could be lower or higher, but what I'm trying to say is like the level is not an issue. Like the mix is pretty much in the place that it should be once it's shipped to Spotify and everywhere else. And then I think a lot of people, when they get to that stage, are like, why do I need a mastering engineer if it's already kind of done? It's the same as getting a mixing engineer when the production is kind of done with a lot of mixing plugins on it. Just because you put on a bunch of plugins on a song or on production doesn't mean it's mixed. It means you got it to a point where you feel comfortable with it. But the whole purpose of sending it out to a mixing engineer and then sending it out to a mastering engineer is getting another person's perspective on the thing that you're working on. And sure, it could really mess stuff up, but it could also just add that 5 or 10% of making the song a little bit more clear to the listener in regards to whatever the production has intended that song to be. And what I mean by that is I might put all these things on the master when I'm mixing, but I've also spent ridiculous amount of hours with the song, listening to it over and over and over again. I want to give it to the mastering engineer to get his perspective for the first time. So he's listening to it like somebody that is going to listen to it on the radio or on Spotify. He's listening to it the first time and it's kind of ready already. His adjustments are these minor tweaks that just make it 5% or 10% better to the end listener. And by the time I'm done with a song when I'm mixing, I'm a little biased because I spent all this time. So that's my take. I think mixing and mastering engineers are never going to go away because they give you that kind of human input that's so important and essential. Let us know what you think in the comments. See you guys next time.